Yeah, okay, show Rodriguez, nice man. I got confused at the time. I meant 9:15 here in Japan and not 9:15 in the Philippines.
I
I
was
should have
like,
written 8:15. All
I
right.
was halfway to Dreamland, man. When
I
I
thought
read-
so. I was like, oh, he hasn't
I
read the
was,
message.
I
I'm
was
like,
like,
all right, we're probably not gonna have a show tonight. All right.
I was dozing off on in the sofa, and I was like, no, I set my alarm already. I set it like at 9, and I was like asking Raj what time it is. It's like, pa, it's like it's 8:58. Pa, it's like 9:05. Pa, it's like 9:10,
And I
you
meant
know.
like,
And then it was like 9:12, I think, when I checked it, and then I looked at the, the link must be
yeah,
there, and I
too
looked
late.
at it. It's like, what?
I know. I was thinking that, yeah, I usually write, like the Philippine time, but I think I was so busy today in school that I just like wrote 9:15.
All
I
right, well,
had a lot of because it's tax month and I have to do a lot of paperwork to be sent to the office, and then
yeah,
it snows
we get a
basketball
pass.
today.
I guess we get a pass because I guess I was sort of busy too. I was out of the house. I had to attend a meeting for an upcoming event. So yeah, I guess we were, you know, I mean, you do that all the time. It's daily for you, but here I think it's a holiday. So you know, it was weird being out of the house on a holiday because Raj didn't have school and like I didn't even know it was a holiday. It's a holiday tomorrow too, and it just so happens that Raj is on his sem break. I don't even know why they call it sem break. It's like 2 days, like 3 days.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's up, man? I mean, by the way, to start things off, prayers up for the all those deaths, the victims of that Korea Seoul stampede. I mean, I know in Japan it's ongoing. There's still like a Halloween party ongoing. That popular spot there in I think in Tokyo or somewhere. I saw it like it was being broadcasted live. So yeah, what is that postponed? Did you attend any? I mean, you guys have any Halloween parties? You guys usually attend that stuff, right?
Well, I went out Friday night to. Well, it's supposed to be for a Halloween party, or it was like a Halloween night out, but I, I don't think there's anything happening in Nagoya with regards to like a having a Halloween event this year. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna be on a costume. Then my friend who asked me out, who's a lady, was in a costume.
Okay.
And she was like, "Oh, you're not in a costume?" Because I was gonna pick her up at Nagoya Station. I was like, "No, I'm not in a costume." And I was like, "Are you in a costume?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm wearing my bunny costume, like the sexy bunny costume with that, like
To play it with
net
bunny.
net stocking, like it's really super sexy." And
Wow. Was she implying
she was like,
anything?
"No, I mean probably she's implying that she's still sexy. That's what she's implying, I think." Because she was like, "Oh, I need validation." Because she was like, "They still like okay and whatever." She's like, "Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean," and she was like, "Yeah, I wore this like because she has 3 kids now, and
Okay.
she's still like, well, it still fits me. Like it still fit the
Is she
the
married?
first
Does
time
she have like
yeah,
a husband?
she's married twice. Yeah, she got divorced last year and she got married months after, and she got a baby. They had a baby, so
Okay.
new baby with the new husband. So it was kind of like it was super fast too. And she was like, "Oh, I needed to to go out and have fun and do Halloween," and we did. And I didn't realize that she actually meant to be in a costume, and I wasn't in a costume. And she was the only one in costume in the whole Nagoya. We were like
Really?
walking around, and she was the only one in costume, and everybody was staring at her because she was like in a sexy bunny, and it was already really cold, and she
Yeah,
took off
yeah.
her coat to show off everything. So it was like she was saying that, "Oh, maybe people will think that I'm a prostitute and that you're paying me." And I was like, "I think so. I think they hate me now because they're probably thinking that I'm paying you to do this shit, walking around Sakae with you like almost naked." And probably they're all thinking that that's my kink. I'm paying you to walk around with me, with you wearing almost nothing, and it's very cold, and everybody's just like, "Whoa, wow, samakunai no, like, are you not cold?" Like everybody's asking her because it's dude, like everybody's on a coat. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's wearing
Yeah.
something because it's very cold, and she was like almost naked, and she was kind of drunk, and people were just like staring at her, men and women alike, and they would always say, "Oh, suguina." They would always say like, "Wow, that's super weird." Probably that in their heads. And I was saying to her that maybe it's either they would think that I'm the weird one because I'm not in costume, or you're the weird one because you're in costume. But well, it turns out that she was the weird one that night because nobody was in costume. Like everybody, like all, like we've been to bars. We were walking around Sakai. It's like sort of like the entertainment district, or the
Uh-huh.
entertainment street of Nagoya. There are like lots of clubs there. There's like lots of izakayas and bars, but nobody was in costume. So
Well,
all
it's
right,
still like fairly early. I mean,
yeah, it was like it's
I
it's
mean,
it's Friday. That's
I'm
what I told her. Like if you told me Saturday, that's like the Halloween weekend, then I probably think of wearing a costume. But you moved it to Friday because originally the plan was to go out on Saturday. Then she moved it to Friday, so I said, "Oh, I thought that it's just like a Halloween night out." And but she was like, "No, I meant like actual Halloween." She was like, "It's a Friday. Nobody does anything on Fridays."
oh really? Like that's how it is in Japan. Like Friday's not really like a party night.
Well, it is a party night, but they wouldn't put it on like years before they would put it like two nights, Friday nights and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
But then lately, I mean, with the corona and everything, I would assume that nobody would be doing anything on a Friday because Friday is still like technically like work, and people sometimes work on Saturday mornings. So now a lot of people attend Friday events. Although they had Friday events back then, not a lot of people would attend it. There would still be people, but not that much people compared to Saturdays. Because I did a few Saturdays before, and like every year Saturdays like packed. But Fridays there would be people going out, but not as much as Saturdays. But then what happened in Korea, I was talking to my sister about it. It was like, oh, that's never going to happen in Japan because it was just like too. I don't know. I was like, well, it wasn't. And she was telling me it wasn't even an event. It was just like there was. I don't know. People were
It
just
wasn't.
partying, and all of a
Yeah, it
sudden there
was
was a
just it
stampede.
was just on a very narrow street, which I think is very common in that part. Itaewon. Itaewon is the place, right? It was in Itaewon.
Yeah, I heard. Not familiar with it, but yeah, that's what I heard.
It's kind of like their party district over there. Not that I've been to Korea or anything, but that's it stands out because I remember the wifey watching a Netflix series called Itaewon Class. So the place Itaewon stood out when he was mentioned in the news. And yeah, but I mean, that's what you call like a freak incident. I mean, stuff like that, it happens, and it's something that's obviously unexpected and it's crazy. But there was definitely a lapse there. But anyways, just prayers up for all the victims because it wasn't just they were not just Koreans. There were a lot of other foreign folks who obviously were there, just probably joining in on the festivities, who were part of the casualties. A lot of Europeans, I think even even like maybe like Indians and stuff who were tourists. Can you imagine just going to a country and like attending an event, or it just so happens that you were there? I did not hear of any Filipino casualties though, so I guess if there's anything positive about that, but that's kind of strange, man. I mean, I think it's just crazy that people can have. Yeah, have you ever been in a crowd where you felt like your life was at risk? Have you ever been in a situation where what the heck is he going
Yeah,
through?
I think I was in second year high school back then. There was a concert that we attended. It was the Francis Megalona concert, which was in Elementar's gym, and it was sort of that type of like when
Tulakan,
you were trying to
Tulakan,
get
yeah.
in
People
Bulacan and you were
start,
trying to get in.
yeah.
One of my friends actually just I it looked like he couldn't breathe, and he was actually tall, so I mean he could get some air. He's taller than I am, like much taller than I am, but he was just like, oh, I don't know if he was just like
He had
that
asthma,
weak.
maybe, or yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he had asthma because he was playing basketball a lot, and I didn't see him like like either sniffing something or whatever, or like
The
what
nebulizer, yeah, the
inhaling
nebulizer.
something. Yeah, I didn't see anything like that, and I don't think he was asthmatic, but he was just like so weak already and probably almost dehydrated because we were like all sweating. So he kind of like gave up and just went back out. But me, Master Yoda, and my brother, the one in Canada, we kind of like we successfully got in, and we got to up to the front. Our ticket was just it wasn't good for front, but we were
No,
like
but it went. It was
yeah,
like,
like
yeah, every
we
man for himself already, because
yeah,
that happens. That
that's what happens
happens,
in concert. Yeah, so
especially if it's like Almendra's gym.
we had
So
we had a lot of fun, but it seemed like that, like going in, but I don't think anybody got hurt that night. But
yeah,
it looked like it. But
yeah, that
probably
can
not close.
happen. That can happen, but yeah, probably just the volume of people was probably, and I think usually it happens at a bottleneck. Like for example, like what happened with you guys. Maybe the congestion was really crazy when the entrance was opened and they were not prepared for the influx of the people coming in all at the same time. I know that happened at like the Wawa Wee Stampede, and some people were killed because of that. It happens. The closest I got to something like that was I was in Germany and there was a Green Day concert, and we got in early, so there was no problem because we were one of the first ones to be let in. When you enter a concert, you pass through this like it's not like everybody all at the same time, so we had to be sort of
Uh-huh.
organized, but there was no seating, so it wasn't like, okay, you're in the front, you're in the back. No, it was like first come first serve. You just find a spot. And in that concert, the Coliseum was designed like a typical, I guess, gym or Coliseum or something, where the seats are on the sides, and in the middle it's like, but they didn't provide any seats. It was like a mosh pit. So it being a Green Day concert and that being a punk man, so they made it like a mosh pit. So in the area there were no seats. It's just on the sides. So if you wanted to be seated or have some sort of comfort, you have to be on the sides, but you're not gonna get like a front view of the band. So we got in early, and I was with one of the kids of the embassy people as well. So I was with my friend Justin, and we were together. And when we got in, we were like, okay, we have the best spot. Like Billy Joe can actually spit at us, and we're that near. Literally, your eardrums were exploding from the speakers and stuff, and they were doing the sound check. And it was like a band before the actual front. No, it was a front act before the actual main act. And I started to feel uncomfortable because he was like breathing heavily. And then I asked him if it was okay, and that's when I found out that he was actually a blue baby. And he was kind of like a special kid because he was one of the first, I think, who was flown to America to have like a major heart surgery. And he even showed me like his freaking, like, if he's watching this, because he's my friend on Facebook, he would know what I'm talking about. He had this giant like scar on his chest because when he was a baby, I think his heart wasn't beating properly or something. So they did something. I don't know if it was a transplant or something. And I was like, holy shit! So why did we decide to be here? Because I mean, this is the mosh pit. Bodies are going to be everywhere. We're standing the whole time. We're not going to have any space. People are going to be pushing each other around. So I actually suggested that we move to the side, and we ended up being a bit further. Obviously, the perspective wasn't as good, but we were still near, and we were on the side, and he was able to breathe. And if had I not found out, had he not tell me at the time, things could have gone really bad that night. That would have been a memorable night for the wrong reasons. And I think that's very important, like what your friend experienced. It's very important to kind of know the health situation of the person you're partying with,
Mhm.
because I mean, especially if it's just the two of you, because you're gonna end up babysitting somebody, or you're gonna end up, because you're obviously in pretty good shape. You didn't feel any discomfort whatsoever. I mean, you felt the crowd, but seeing a friend, catching his breath at the time, that could be an indicator of worse things to come. Like I said, he might be asthmatic. You just didn't know it. And some people are asthmatic and they don't really need to rely on a nebulizer. It's just that it gets triggered and they just have these attacks. But that dude, man, that dude literally had like a heart, whatever. He had a heart condition. He shouldn't be in that place. He shouldn't be, you know, in a crowded area where oxygen is limited and all that. So I was like, that could have been really bad. So whenever I hear about stuff like that, I'm like, you know, I'm not a fan of crowds. I'm not a fan of, and I know a lot of the young ones out there. I mean, particularly someone like CJ maybe, who is inexperienced in the dangers and the perils of being in places that's very crowded. Because everybody, when you're young, you actually want to go towards the crowd. You want to be where all the people are. But as you get older, you kind of pick your spots. It's not worth it. Because I remember if it's like November 1, November 2, everybody would be like walking towards Memorial. And I just remember this one time, right? This one time where we didn't even bring a car. I don't know how we parked it somewhere maybe really far, and we had to walk like from maybe even further than MTS. MTS wasn't even around yet then, I think. I'm not even sure. But we were walking, like literally, and everybody was walking. Like the whole like Matina was like closed because nobody could get through because people were just walking towards Memorial. And that was the time when Memorial had like the Jollibee, like there was a Pizza Hut booth
Dunkin' Donuts.
there. There was like yeah, it was Dunkin' Donuts. It was crazy. People were drinking, gambling. Everybody had a tent. People were I don't know. People were probably not making out, but people were like eyeballing. People were doing the radio thing. That was like the eyeball
I mean, what's
spot
to
that night.
do, right? I mean, of course.
Yeah, exactly. People didn't experience that yet. That was a new thing for Davao. Everybody was very hungry for a new place to sort of be the spot, and and once you start hearing that everybody's there, it doesn't matter if you have a relative there. It doesn't matter if if anybody was there. You just wanted to go there and find out Makiusisero, right? And I don't know that after that they kind of stopped that. They banned, all those food and restaurant booths, and they did not allow liquor. I think I don't know if it was right after that particular year, but that was pretty crazy. But there was no stampede of any sort. But if there was, yeah, it would have been bad. But by the way, shout out to CJ, shout out to Patrick. Yeah, it's been a while, Patrick. It's been a while since we've done a show. The intervals of our episodes are like few and far in between. And of course to Ate Arlene, shout out to her as well.
Right, Mama Arlene, yes. Yeah, really. You're coming to Japan. When are you coming to Japan? I think she said that see you in Japan. So I don't know when she's coming. Um,
Nice.
she's visiting her kid. All right. So
She
when
goes
is it?
in and out. She in and out of Japan.
I think so. I think she visited Japan. She visited Japan many times already. So yeah.
Probably for
Anyway,
the
all right. So
holidays.
Stampede. What else? Like there was a typhoon that happened in the Philippines, right? When was this? Was this like
Um,
what, last week, or was this
I
like
don't
what a
know.
couple days ago?
I'm
You know
not
about the
sure.
Itaewon, but you don't know about like the typhoon. The
No.
heck, man!
Ako ay, you call this sa sariling bansa? Ako ay dayuhan sa sariling bansa.
You're like, oh, thank God, no Filipino was hurt at the stampede. I'm like, yeah, because there's a lot of Filipinos who died in the typhoon. What are you talking about?
I know, I know. I was actually in my car to pick up Raj from my in-laws just tonight, and the radio station that I regularly listen to, it was like one frequency off, and for some reason it took me a while to figure out why the guy I was listening to was speaking in Bisaya and talking about like was it Maguindanao or something? Something's going on. Like we sent some help, like 911 people and all that stuff, and relief goods and all that stuff. He was talking about that, and I don't know exactly where the affected area is, but I remember him mentioning that, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? What went there? I guess that's what you're talking about.
Right.
So to November 15th, kid tomorrow is Miyaka kid.
All right. Okay. She's seeing Miyaka. All right. So in is it Shizuoka?
Shizuoka. So anyway, yes, is that where it is? Is that where the typhoon was?
No, I think it's the typhoon
Luzon?
was.
Luzon?
I think in Luzon. Was it Luzon? Or
I don't
was
know,
it like
cause like
Visayas? It could be Visayas. I'm not sure. Oh, Visayas, they always get this really terrible, typhoon.
yeah, I know. I just heard this guy like said that we were sending some help somewhere, and I guess that's where the typhoon is. Um, I'm not sure. Mindoro maybe. I'm not sure where, but he mentioned that. So that's when I found out. I mean, I'm totally oblivious, man. Because here's the thing. I don't like I said. I don't have TV. I have YouTube. That's where I get my source from, and I subscribe to CNN. I don't really subscribe to the local news channels. So, obviously, what pops up on CNN or BBC or whatever news channel I subscribe to, those are the alerts that I get. So, and I'm kind of like I become kind of oblivious with the bad weather because talking to my dad last week or the past couple of times I've spoken to my dad or video called my dad, he's always talking about bad weather up north. So I was assuming that, you know, nothing nothing major. But I guess something happened, something major did happen if we're sending help. I mean if Davao is sending help to another part of the country, I guess that's pretty major. But yeah, prayers up for them too. Because I mean, obviously that's closer to home. You have any details of it?
No, like no, my sister just told me about it and told me that there were people who died, and my wife read about it too. But I don't go on, I don't go online and watch news. I haven't been watching news lately. It's
Tropical
I've
storm
been busy.
Nalgae. There's also Paeng, Philippine storm Paeng. I guess Paeng is the local name. Nalgae maybe is the. Speaking of Paeng, condolences to my friend Mamay and his family. His tatay
I think
Paeng
I
passed
think it's
away.
that Paeng, I think it's that Paeng typhoon that that killed people. I think that's it. I'm not familiar. I'm not so
Yeah,
sure.
which is ironically that's the name of my Brando's grandfather, the tatay Paeng, who passed away. I think yesterday or was it earlier today? That's so weird, right? Because that's his name. I mean, it's coincidence, but prayers up for them. So, we got the bad news out. Are we gonna have any good news? Do we have any good news?
Not really.
I mean, that was good news for you, getting to walk around the city with a half naked woman.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
well,
I'd rather be walking with a half naked woman like than a drunk overweight friend or something, right?
oh, I mean, yeah, I at least I got
Go
to
out.
like see Nagoya and see people, going out. It's like I know in the Philippines it's already almost back to normal, but here it's still not as normal as it was back then. But you can start feeling the vibe, the normal vibe coming back. I went to the city hall today to get something like a document, and there were a lot of people. Like when the pandemic started, like not a lot of people would you know want to be in a crowd or something, but now there were like the chairs are full, and yeah, I think the McDonald's, like usually if you go through the drive through or like system in McDonald's, they post like these things outside the
Like
like the windows
reminders.
and like reminders to like wear mask or something.
Okay, Patrick, CJ, who's frozen? Is it me or Ice? Let me know. Especially Patrick, because you're in neutral ground. Because, like, if you're in the Philippines, maybe I might be okay and Ice might be okay and you're back. You were frozen for a sec there. Okay, are you frozen again, Ice?
I don't know. It's probably my internet. I'm not sure. But yeah, like I said, McDonald's is not asking you to wear a mask when you're taking your order from from the drive-through. So before it was like, please wear a mask, even if even if you're in your car, because when you open the window, you're like So, but now there's nothing like that. So it should, I don't know. We should be back to normal
Here it's
soon,
back to normal.
hopefully.
I would say it's back to normal. I mean, it's just that people still wear masks, I guess, out of habit. I don't know if it's a prerequisite or a requirement anymore because I was at the mall earlier today after my meeting. I went straight to the mall. I was supposed to buy something and I forgot to put my mask on, left it in the car, and and the guard let me in and didn't say anything, and I was already in. And it's like, I just realized, hold up, I'm not wearing my mask. So I had to go back out and get my mask. So I guess if they let you in the mall already, not wearing a mask, I mean, they'll let you in pretty much anywhere already, not wearing a mask. So, and it's just the influx of people, you see it, especially now with the holidays coming in and just being right around the corner. I think we're going to be able to tell or confirm for sure if it's pretty much over or people are really kind of have put that behind them already. We'll find out during the holidays, during the shopping rush, and it seems like that's the case. It being November and the mall's already packed, I can safely say I think here people are probably not living in fear anymore. And if anything, it's more of just a habitual thing that no one's really told anybody yet or clarified anything about the mask situation. So, are we supposed to still wear it? Can we go? My kid's gonna be face to face this month. Is it gonna happen, Raj? You're face to face this month. That's cool. So it's not gonna happen yet. Okay, so I guess for Raj, it's not gonna happen yet. They
Oh,
changed their
they've
minds.
been postponing. Like supposed to be, my wife's niece was due to go home last month in October, but because it got postponed again. Like, okay, we're gonna have like face to face, but all right, not really. Let's do online and stuff like that. So she's like, all right, I'm still staying in Japan because the school said that they could still do online, especially for those people who are based abroad right now. So I was like, I don't know if they're trying to save on money or if it's really about like the health condition.
I know. We don't even know
Because they're
anymore.
like, they're saving a lot of money on, like,
Oh, they are
their
for sure.
like
The
overhead
staff,
expenses, right?
the
Like,
staff
yeah,
alone, yeah, the staff alone, the air conditioning of the classrooms,
exactly. Yeah.
all that
So,
stuff.
and the tuition didn't change, but it's
No,
the same. It's yeah, and they're not paying that much for their operation. So, right. Ian is joining us.
yeah, he is there. Well, thanks for letting us
Yes.
know, man.
But here, what? Like, are you in the Philippines? I think she's.
He's
I think
he's
she's in the
been here
Philippines,
for a
right?
while. He's been here for what, a
Mhm.
week already. But they're making the rounds. I don't know if they're in Davao. I don't know where they are exactly. And until when they're gonna be here for. I'm pretty sure he's fairly busy too. I mean, this is the first time. How long were you gone for, Ian? You guys were how many years? I mean, they're like citizens now, so they were gone for quite a while. I'd say 7 years, maybe 6 years. I'm not
I think
sure.
almost
More eight,
half.
maybe 8 years already. Seven. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
even
like
remember. I don't even remember when
I've
Ian
been here
left.
like 15. So, all right. Wow, half of the time that I was already here.
Yeah, 7 years. I was
7
right.
years, yeah, I'd say
Seven.
7 years.
Yeah, I was right. 7 years. I did mention
Wow,
7 years.
almost a decade. So,
Yeah, because my
yeah.
brother-in-law, they're citizens already too, and like Ian left before my brother-in-law did. So they've been in Canada for I don't know how many years. Jim has been in Canada for about probably 6 years. I know Ian
Mhm.
left before them, and this is the first time. Was this the first time you came home since moving to Canada, Ian? After 7 years, uh, I guess if like let's say if your parents can afford to visit you, he's waiting for me in Canada. Yeah,
All
well,
right,
we'll
let's
see,
go
man.
Canada.
Because I mean, Canada's pretty big, so I could be in the same country, but we're in different parts of Canada. It's not like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. It's. I mean, my sister's last. Oh, he was here 2017. Okay, wow. So it was like, I'm like my sisters are both in the states, but my sister's in one end and my sister's in the other end, so they don't necessarily see each other. The last time they saw each other was when I visited them. Oh no, they
Mhm.
did see each other earlier this year. Which when I asked them, because we had like a group call, I'm like, okay, so how often do you guys see each other? And they're like, the last time we saw each other was when you were here, Rod. I'm like, really? I mean, like, that's weird, but I guess when you realize in the States, it's not a necessity to see relatives, especially if you're kind of you have your family is Americanized already. I think if my sisters married Filipinos, I think they would be more, I guess, conscious about. seeing family more often, either from their husband's side of the family or their side of the family, because that's just naturally ingrained in us. But since they're married to white guys, it's they can survive. They're fine. They can survive for decades not seeing a relative, and they'd be fine. And I think my sisters have kind of caught on to that because they don't visit my mom regularly. They don't see, and my wife's like, "Why don't they visit Mama? Why don't they check out?" So, anyways, what's the topic? You didn't go to the party last Sunday. Where are you at now, Ice? Guess where
So
Ice
you
is.
didn't go to the party last Sunday? What party last Sunday? There was like
I
what
know
party?
what party.
I don't know of any party last Sunday. That was yesterday. No, yeah, that was yesterday.
Yeah, he, th- he
Or
throws
do you
he
mean like
throws
last
par-
Sunday?
he throws parties and just expects people to show up. Dude, if I was still in college, or if Ice and I were still in high school, dude, we would go to a party even if we were not. Man. Like, we would be at a party, we would be outside someone's house waiting for a party. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, no, the wifey she has her hands full. She always does. So good luck. Getting her to commit to something unless it's announced like a month before or something. I guess you communicated with her. You didn't really communicate with me regarding that. So I don't know what her side of the story is. I don't know if she knew because I didn't get an invitation, and I didn't know where the venue was or what. But congratulations to the baptismal of the bunso. So 3 girls already. Ian, did you guys when you left the Philippines, Ian, you had one child? Was it just Ice? Are you in the Philippines now?
No, I'm not. Why would I be in the Philippines? Are you nuts? Why would I be in the Philippines?
There's absolutely no logical reason for him to come home, Ian. Aside from the fact that maybe there's a little bit of Filipino in him left, but I mean, I really like, why would
We're
he be
already
here?
out. It's like one of those things, right? Like I'm already out. Like I'm not going back in.
See,
Not saying that Philippines is prison, but
that's kind of what I fear too. Like if I leave the Philippines or the wife, because the wifey's like reviewing for her NCLEX because she wants to take the state board again because she didn't pass the first time she took it. And if she passes this time around, obviously she's gonna, she's gonna find a way to migrate to either the U.S. or Canada, wherever, because her aunts there are like, and all her friends are kind of like telling her, "Hey, move here, come here." All her friends are there. All her friends are in the U.S. She has, obviously relatives and family in Canada. My whole family's in the U.S. and my wife is like still going for it, and I'm like, obviously that's her thing. And I just kind of go along with the ride, right? So wherever it takes us. But for me, it's kind of like she can go there ahead. I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, we're just assuming she passes or what. And if she passes, then we'll cross the bridge when we get there. But Ian, so how has it been, man? I mean, how has your life been transformed now being Canadian? And I mean, you're Canadian on paper, but are you really Canadian? You know what I'm saying? It's like you're Canadian by citizenship, but you know, do you really eat a lot of poutine and, do you put a lot of maple syrup or whatever it is that you eat? I don't really know what Canadian is. Do you play ice hockey now? So you want to move to Canada, Ice? Yeah, you have a brother there,
no,
Ice.
it's too far. It's too far, and it's too cold. Too far, too
Yeah,
cold.
do you hear that?
So
Too,
it's
yeah. He said it's freaking hot.
yeah. During the summer, of course it's hot. It's hot too in Japan during the summer. I'm not talking about summer.
Ian, you're pulling our leg, Ian. What are you talking about, man? Come on. You think of Canada, you're not thinking about like, tropical weather. We know what's up in Canada. I've seen my in-laws situation there. You know, it's obviously it gets hot during the summer. He says he loves Putin in Costco. Okay. So you don't really like make it at home and stuff. So I guess, I don't know with Canada though. Like I guess if you're like in Toronto or you're in a part of Canada that's not very French, or because like for example, here's the thing. It doesn't even move to the U.S. right? You move to the U.S. it's very easy to sort of just adapt to whatever the US offers, because there's really, you don't really need to adapt. It's pretty much just like how we are here. It's not like a weird lifestyle like moving to Europe or in Japan where the customs are different. And yeah, that's why in Japan you
Yeah,
can't, right?
but then again, when you lived in America, you lived in, like, the big cities, I guess. You lived in Virginia, which is, I mean, you didn't
Good point.
live in, like, if you lived in Oklahoma where Chris lived,
Good point.
and from what I heard from her, like from her stories, I'm painting a picture of, like, this is the country.
You
And
have a point. You have a point.
so it's kind of like,
You have
so
a
you
point.
would be saying like, yeah, I mean, yeah, but then if you lived in somewhere in, I don't know, Colorado or Nebraska,
Yeah,
because I
West
talked to some, like,
Virginia. I've been to
yeah,
West Virginia, dude. I've been to West Virginia, which is next to Virginia. Like, it's a neighboring state. It's a
right,
world apart.
right, that's
It's
what
a
I'm saying.
world. West Virginia, dude, is different. Like,
Like,
it's
you can
different.
be in America, but still you're in the middle of nowhere. Because I'm
Yeah.
talking to this friend of mine who grew up there, or yeah, I mean, at least from third grade up to her teen years. So basically, she has an American accent, and she's part, she's in a way Americanized, but not totally, because the Japanese in her is still, like, really strong, and it's coming out. And we were talking, and I was asking her, like, where did you stay? And she was like, oh, in Nebraska. It was like, what's in Nebraska? Like, nothing. So that's why it
I
was just
think
like, so
corn. I think corn. That's part of what they
yeah.
have there.
And I was like,
Yeah.
well, didn't you go to a Japanese? Like, well, there's no Japanese school there. Like, no, it's just, it's not a big city. Like, so we didn't have a choice. I was like, oh, and but she said, well, that was good, because for her, she was forced to be in a public school, whereas most Japanese who gets to be assigned in other countries, and if they are, working in a big city, chances are there's a Japanese, school, like a Japanese run school, and like everything's still Japanese, like culture and whatever, like they're studying Japanese, and they wouldn't be lagging on their kanji, like their Chinese characters. So that would be the good part if
Well, I
they
mean,
are living
what
at
was the
Japan.
purpose of their stay there? I mean, was she staying
It
there
was
long term, or it was because of the dad's work, or
it was her
I,
dad's work, so she stayed there for
okay,
about
so
7 years.
it was like temporary. They knew they
Yeah,
were coming back to Japan. Like, it's like
exactly. Right.
she needed to maintain that, Japanese
Yeah,
side of
but
her.
with these people, you don't know when you're going back. That's the thing. You're going back, but you don't know when. So for her, it took about like 7 years, and that's a lot of years if you think about it. Especially for her sister who started first grade there. So her sister is more, like Americanized in a way, because, like, from a very young age she was already there, and she
But
started first grade
Americanized
there.
Nebraska, Americanized, not like New York or
Well, yeah, but like, I mean,
because I mean, you mentioned that there's a difference, right? Like where I grew
there's a
up to,
difference,
like
but I guess
Nebraska.
with the way people think, it's so. If you compare a Japanese and an American, they are worlds apart too in terms of their thinking. Even if this American is from, like, the countryside or whatever, it's still very different from somebody who's from Japan, who's just, they're so homogenous here. They're just, like, used to, like, seeing, like, just Japanese people. Whereas with her, if she was assigned there, then she probably saw, like, different, like, she probably lots of white people, but then she was Asian in a way. Then you know what I'm saying? Like, she'd be like, she was the one who was different in that place. So when she got back here, she knows what it's like to be different, what it's like to be the foreigner in a country. So that's why she's not, like, most Japanese would be like, all right, like, they don't really know how to act amongst foreigners, because, like, that's how most Japanese are. Like, all right, we're all Japanese, we understand each other, we don't need to say anything, we just need to look at each other and we know what to do. We don't need to specifically tell people to not throw trash wherever, because that's what we do. We don't need to we don't need to announce that we're cleaning up after the World Cup,
Yeah,
because that's what we do.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
after the game, we start cleaning up. Nobody says
I
anything.
think
It's
I
just
think
normal.
a lot of it has to do too with the fact that when you talk about Japan as compared to America, dude, America, when you say America, you're talking about the citizenship. You're not talking about necessarily the culture or the race or whatever. You're talking about the citizenship. So when you say someone's an American, that could be somebody who is Indian. That could be somebody who is Chinese. That could be they're American by citizenship. So they all have this different habits and traits and things ingrained within them. That's why it's so hard to unite the people into a common thing. There's always America's always divisive. I mean, the blacks and the whites and there's always this, like, there's always, it's always sectioned out. Oh, that's the Korean community, that's the Filipino community, even though they're all Americans by citizenship. Unlike in Japan, where you're all kind of cut from the same cloth. You're all Japanese, unless you're a Filipino who decided to live there and you just have to adapt to how their ways. So I think it's really impossible to do that in America, because people will always go home, and like I told you, I had a classmate, and he was white as white can be, and I thought he was just going to be one of those guys. When I go to his house, he's gonna have that typical white family where his parents are divorced. He's probably staying with his mom or his dad or whatever, and they have waffles in the ref, and they just microwave food, and they just, like, that's it. And I went to his house, and I met his Russian grandmother, who spoke Russian, who had the freaking bonnet on her head, and they were speaking in Russian. And I got there, and they had food that I've never seen before, and they were, like, in a way, kind of reminded me of a Filipino family where you don't really know somebody if you're just basing it on their looks. Because I thought, okay, he's white, but then again, his name's Yev, so that was a giveaway. And but a lot of Americans,
Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of Americans have names like that. Like, I had classmates who had Russian last names, but they were already Americanized, because most of them are, when
They're
you really
probably
think
fifth
about it, right?
generation. The
Yeah,
Yev was
yeah.
probably like what,
Because,
second generation?
yeah, probably. Yeah, because he was like, he spoke perfect English. He didn't have an accent. He wasn't like Russian. He didn't have an Russian accent. He didn't dress like a weird immigrant.
Like,
He was.
no, she speaks perfect Japanese. You wouldn't think that
I know.
if you don't see her and she's talking, she's like, you'd think like, oh, this is a Japanese kid right here. I want to kick her in the face sometimes. It's like
Really?
I don't understand her, and she's so Japanese. Like we were talking, like I was calling my no, I called them from the car because I was about to tell something to my wife, something about like what I did at the city hall because it concerns her, and we were talking, and all of a sudden she kind of like interrupted our conversation by saying like, "Papa, 勉強したら 邪魔しないで." She was the way she said it was like, it wasn't, it was just like I know because I live here, right? Like how people say things, and I was
Yeah.
like, hi hi, I was like, I like I just said, but it was like she was saying like, Papa, we're studying. Can you like please don't bother us. Like just don't Jama Shinai is like more of like it's like don't bother, but it's like Jama is like more of like your sagabal. You're like you're a yeah
Interrupting us. Yeah.
you're
You're being a hindrance to
interrupting
our
yeah
learning.
a hindrance, a block to whatever, right? So
Yeah.
like Jama Shinai is like all right, okay. So she has that, and the way she would respond to you in ways, and even like she would say like, "Stop shing me! I don't care about other people. I'm a foreigner. I don't care about these Japanese are that way. Like, don't be
Very
noisy
conscious.
or whatever. Like, don't be
Yeah.
noisy because they might hear us or whatever." I'm like, I don't care if they hear us. See, I'm in my car. If they can hear my voice, I don't give a shit. She's like, and
Yeah.
she'd be
Yeah.
like embarrassed, like, but yeah. So she's it's kind of
Yeah.
like
She's
weird.
Japanese. I mean, she does have Japanese blood when you think about it. I mean, you're talking about your daughter. So.
How things, right, like if you think about it, like how things just like for example me, I'm like like okay, we're here, she's clearly second generation, right? But to me it's just weird because I'm like the father, right? I'm like the father, and I am looking at my kid and I'm just like, oh
Your
my god,
offspring, and she's like a different person.
she's a different person.
Yeah,
She's
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
like
I know what you're
she's never
saying.
gonna grow
Well, I
she's
don't know
not
what you're saying, but I get what you're saying.
right? Like she's not gonna grow up the way I did. Like the way I think, because it's like I would think in English, but I would think in Bisaya
But
as
she's
well.
just different.
Like
She's just Japanese,
it's
dude. She's
different.
she's Japanese. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was telling you. It's like
I know,
it's it's like you,
but that's the weird part, right? Because like I'm not like I'm totally like you know what I'm saying. I'm
yeah.
Filipino, like inside out, and it's just
Yeah,
like how
but it's still
come
not 100% thing for her though, because when she comes home, you guys still have some sort of Filipino values. Because you and your wifey, you
if
interact.
right?
There's still
That's the
Filipino.
thing. If if we keep on going home and if she spends a lot of time in the Philippines, that would happen. But with the rate things are going right now, dude, we haven't been like how long? Okay, she's been in the Philippines like in her like she will be 8 in December. Like in from the day she was born up to now, she's been in the Philippines for what, like two, three times. The first time was like what,
She's
like
very
about
young.
a couple of months, and she was very young. She didn't know anything. And second time was like about, I don't know, about a month, I guess, with her mom, or it could be like two or three, but still that was like 2 3 years old. Then the third time was like when my grandmother died. It was like about like a few days. It was like probably about a week, and after that there was nothing. And it's just like it's, and here she doesn't see. So yeah, it's
Plus, you teach at a Japanese school. You know what I'm saying? You're not necessarily like involved with the Filipino community. Yeah,
and
I mean, yeah,
and
okay, forget it. She's not gonna
I
have any Filipino
I
whatever in
would
her.
know how Yev's grandmother and parents probably, like probably felt. But with him, he at least he could still speak
Oh, he
like
spoke
Russian
Russian. Like he spoke Russian
perfectly,
straight.
right?
Like I was shocked because when we walked in, I was shocked because their house looked like a typical American home. But when we walked in, they had all these like decorations. They had all these like little Russian spoons or whatever. And I was like, and I opened the ref and their food was different. I don't know what the heck it was. You know, like it was like a stew or
Borscht?
something.
Is it borscht? Ah, it was probably
I
borscht.
I don't
It's
know.
borscht.
It was like a
It was.
stew. Yeah, that's
That's
not.
the popular. That's
So
their
I was
adobo.
like, and I didn't
That's
know
their
anything
adobo.
about Russia, dude. The only thing I knew about Russian was like, the stereotype that we had about Russians. That, and he looked nothing of it. And then when we went to his house, so that's what I was saying. It's like in the States, you get shocked. Like even me, when you see me at school, then people thought I was Mexican, and like they didn't even know I was Filipino. And they would probably come to my house, and we would talk funny, and we would like, they would probably find out, well, that's weird. You don't look. This doesn't.
You
Well,
know, like Filipino.
a
El
Filipino
hombre.
a Filipino home is sort of like I think a
Mexican
Filipino
home.
home resembles more of a
Mexican
Latino home than an
Filipino
Asian
home, right?
home,
Of
right?
course,
Right? Unless you're
it is.
Chinese or Korean, unless you're Chinese, like Filipino Chinese. I think when you walk in a Filipino's home, it reminds you more of a Latino or Hispanic home. Our
Yes.
sensibilities, right? Our
Yeah, yeah,
food,
yeah. Like the
yeah,
Catholicism,
yeah. We don't
like
really, yeah, the
like
Catholicism. That's
all
right.
these Catholic, statues and stuff. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Maribulto,
it's
right?
yeah,
Plus our food, our dishes. The only
food,
thing that would probably a telltale sign that we're Asian is the rice, because we have like
rice,
rice cooker,
rice
and
cooker.
the Mexicans are not really all about that. They're all about corn. So that would probably be the only difference there. But still, at the end of so that's the thing about America is like when you talk about who's really American. When you talk about who's really American, it's the Native Americans. They're really the
Native
first settlers
Americans, yeah,
there.
they're the first Americans.
But how
They're the
many of
actual
them?
Americans.
But I never went to school with any of them. They have their own settlement. They were given a certain place where they can all gather and do their own thing the way they want to do it. That's kind of how I never went to school with any of them. I mean, the first Native American who I became friends with was PJ Smith, our listener, and his family.
Reservation. I
He
think you
used to
call it the
first,
reservation.
yeah,
Is
in
that
New
what it is?
Mexico.
The reservation.
Yeah, yeah. And most of it is like in New Mexico. Some of it's probably in Arizona.
They have casinos there too, right?
Yeah, they do. They have casinos there. That they kind of run. That's kind of like their business. So like I said, like what is American? But when you say Japanese, we know they're all like you said the term homogeneous.
Hey,
You look like
Hey,
you're straight out
Ian.
of a horror movie, man. What's going on?
Happy Halloween, bitches.
Oh, there you go. Now it's well lit. So where are you? You're in Cagayan,
Yeah, in
CDO.
the Oro City.
yeah, I'm in Cagayan right now
Are
because
you in Park?
Rizal's family has a reunion.
You're not in one of the haunted hotels, are you? Because I hear that Cagayan has
Probably, or
several.
am
Because
I
I heard that
am I choppy?
sort of choppy a little bit, yeah, on the choppy side, but it's okay. It's manageable. I don't know. Is it manageable? Sort of. Let's see if we can have a decent
Yeah,
conversation.
I think so.
Yeah. So, anyways, so you're not in one of the haunted
Say hi.
hotels there.
No,
Oh, is that me? Is that me? Knock
she's
already?
sleepy.
Yeah. Don't
Well,
bug the
yeah,
kids.
technically.
Don't bug the
We still
kids.
have a jet lag, man. I mean, it's been more than a week now, and we still feel like jet lag.
Dude, I was
Yeah, I mean,
I almost fell asleep already. What are you talking about? I've been in the Philippines all this time. What are you talking jet lag? Katulugon lang jud ka jud.
No,
I'm
no.
jet lag.
There are
Yeah,
times
I'm like,
like
oh,
we want to sleep longer, but we wake up early, and it feels like
Okay.
every
well,
time.
I guess yeah. I guess your body adjusts. Like I don't know. Like me, I wouldn't.
So
I
what's
mean,
up, you
it's only like
two?
an
I miss you
hour,
guys.
an hour apart from the Philippines. Well, yeah, well, yeah, we're hanging,
Well,
we're hanging. Have to have
Yeah,
to try.
when was the last time we saw this guy like face to face? I don't probably.
When I was still there,
I
I
mean,
guess
I'm not
before I
sure with
left.
ice, but
Well, before
probably
I
John
left,
Paul.
that's the
I think I
yeah,
saw
that's
yeah,
Ian
John
like at
Paul. Yeah.
John Paul College or something because he worked there for a bit. So I think that's where I last saw him when my wifey was working there and he was also working there. I think that's
I
yeah.
where
think
we
I
But
last saw
for
him.
saw
us,
him
it's
when I
been a
first
long,
went
long,
home.
long, long,
I think when
long
I first went home, I
time.
guess I saw him for a bit. I guess he came to the station
When
when I
I
first
think the
came
last
home.
time I saw you, I was you're still in Killer B, now on Magic.
Well, yeah, yeah, but I came home and I think you were still there because if you left like
So
six
that's the
seven
last
years
time.
ago, you were still there, and you even invited us to a party. I remember getting invited to a party that like you hosted or something. I forgot now, but I'm pretty sure I was still there. You were still there when I first came home. Because I
Did we attend a party at World Palace or
So
something?
what's going on here?
And you
Actually,
and Ice,
when we got here,
whose
it's
party was that?
freaking.
I remember we went to a party at World Palace,
World Palace, World Palace, World Palace.
and I think Ice you hooked up with somebody.
World Palace.
No, we
Yeah,
did. I
I
think
don't
we went
remember
to a
hooking up
party
with
at
somebody.
World Palace. I remember with it was Ian. Like we invited us. It was Ian's party. I'm not sure,
So bad.
but I remember World Palace had they have this like their main thing, their main video key place, and you guys like
Right.
rented it
I
out.
remember being there
We
with
were there. We were
Justice,
there.
but
No. We were there. It was Ian's thing, like a debut or someone's party, and we were there. I don't know if we hosted it or we were just guests, but it was the both of us, and it was through Ian's initiative that we ended up there. I remember that because I don't go to World Palace like regularly, and but that was one of those times I remember that we were both there. It was at the peak of our show, so we were either invited by Ian or Ian just happened to be a friend of the person who invited us. I think it was like some girl's birthday. I'm not sure, but yeah, yeah. The signal's pretty bad because you're in a hotel room, right?
yeah,
I,
it's pretty bad. All right,
yeah,
and I have to go anyway. It's like it's
yeah.
11.
It's 11. Yeah, I know. We were supposed to start earlier, but there was a confusion, and
Yeah,
and I read this message late. So yeah, Ian, you join us on our next episode. We're gonna have
yeah.
another one on
Thursday, right?
Thursday, but it's gonna
We're gonna
be
have
8 p.m. Right? It's gonna
8
be
p.m.
normal time.
We're
Normal
gonna
time.
be doing it 8 p.m. Philippine time, 9 p.m. here.
Yeah.
Sorry for the confusion. I meant 8:15, not 9:15. So yeah,
Yeah, because that's what it said on your clock, right?
I think so. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
there was just like too much going on in my head. But anyway, all right. So Thursday, Ian, thanks for joining us. Do join us on Thursday, and make sure that you have
He'll probably be back in Davao already by then, so he'll have
so
good
maybe you have
internet.
a better signal. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So thanks a lot for joining us. I don't think we talked about something really.
No, it was
besides
catching
the
up
fact
on,
that,
it's catching up on stuff.
like people dying from the
Yeah,
you know
prayers up for
other
all the
parts of
victims of
in
whatever.
Korea and in the Philippines,
Yeah, the flooding.
and hopefully things will get better, especially with Corona as well. So right, so we'll see you on Thursday. Thanks a lot, and Rod Rodriguez and Iceman, Ian, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we'll see you. Thanks and good night. And we
Bye.
are out.